981. The Decision of the Three Girls. Not to mention Miraji and Wendy were surprised by this development, and even Naruto was a little confused for a while. You guys, who can tell me what's going on? Naruto couldn't help asking, looking at the aggressive three girls. The three of Urza looked at each other, and Kana finally said, if that's the case, let's make it clear. Naruto, you bastard ate all three of us secretly, right? Now we all know it. So, we came up with a decision. Quote. What decision? Urza said, whoever can make you surrender as quickly as possible will be the ultimate winner. The other two will withdraw from the fight from now on. Juvia cried, so it's the four of us. Mira and Wendy go out quickly. Naruto was speechless for a moment. Mirage and Wendy looked at each other. Wendy suddenly asked, Sister Urza, it's impossible to make Big Brother Naruto surrender. Even if the three of you are put together, you are no match for Big Brother Naruto. Even in this way, you won't be able to beat him. Yes. When Ursha heard this, the three of them couldn't help laughing in unison. Kana stepped forward and grabbed Wendy's shoulder, pushed her out the door, and shouted, Oh, I said earlier that it's not suitable for children. Wendy, this is not a fight you can participate in. You should listen to your sisters and go out obediently. Wendy was confused. Mirage couldn't stand it any longer, grabbed Kana's hand, and shouted to the three of them, okay. You should stop now. Wendy is still young. Don't say such things in front of her. And I want to tell you something. The three of Urza were stunned. Juvia suddenly exclaimed, Mira, do you want to fight with us too? So that's the case, Mira, have you been eaten by Naruto too? Urza suddenly realized. Another powerful enemy. Okay, it's getting more and more lively. Let's start. I can't help but get excited. Kana laughed. Hearing the nonsense in their mouths, Miraji smiled helplessly, and Wendy suddenly understood what was going on at this moment. Yuhi's little face was ashamed, and she whispered, several sisters are so cute. For a time, things were really intricate. Fortunately, in the end, it was because of the strong interference of Miraji and Wendy, that Urza and the three of them were not allowed to carry out the game of who asked Naruto to disarm and surrender first. However, this day really cannot let people relax. Naruto was simply exhausted. Because he and Urza were discovered when they were there, the series of things that happened was simply terrifying. Night. Lucy, Ribi, Biska, Helentia and the others who came back from the amusement park happily told Urza and the others about the amusement park, but to Urza and the others they did not go to the amusement park to play. I feel very sorry. Of course, Urza and the others were very upset. Especially Urza, who thought she could have a good, easy and relaxed fight with Naruto today, was disturbed by the four Kana who came over inexplicably, and it turned into a very complicated women's war. So, her face turned very dark and dark now when she listened to Lucy twittering about the fun things in the amusement park. That, Urza, what's the matter with you? And Kana, Juvia, what's the matter with you? Seeing a few people with sullen faces, Lucy couldn't help asking. Miraja smiled bitterly beside him. Until about to sleep at night. Everyone went back to their rooms to sleep. Naruto lay on the bed, thinking about what happened today. He had already confessed things to Mila and Wendy, and Mila and Wendy understood him very well, which made him very happy. However, those memories were also aroused in his heart, and now the thoughts are like a tide, making him toss and turn, and it is difficult to fall asleep. People of the world, how are you? When will I be able to achieve that goal? With a slight sigh, he lay on the head of the bed and looked at the moon in the night sky outside, thinking about the mysteries of time and space in his mind. Suddenly, he noticed a voice coming from the door of the room. Immediately afterwards, the door was opened, and a figure flashed in quickly. Mira. Naruto couldn't help but be taken aback. I saw that she was wearing a pure white dress with a thin white ribbon around her waist, and her long white hair was casually draped over her shoulders. At this time, she looked extraordinary. After she came in cautiously, she smiled at Naruto, and quickly came to Naruto's bed, climbed onto his bed, leaned into his arms and said, "Naruto, I want to sleep with you." "Mila sleeps with me." Naruto was surprised. However, before he could ask any more questions, Mira placed her jade hands on Naruto's shoulders, leaned down, lowered her head and kissed Naruto's mouth with her soft lips. Naruto was surprised by her actions. In the dead of night, Mira actually ran over to do such a thing to herself. Did she know that she couldn't sleep and wanted to comfort her to sleep? What a sweet girl. Naruto discovered that, compared to the arrogant and domineering Mila in the past, the now gentle Mila is really very good. Feeling her soft lips, Naruto calmed down, slowly immersed in the feeling of kissing her. His hands unknowingly wrapped Mila's tender body, and she didn't know it. Feeling got under Naruto's quilt, lying on his chest. For a long time, the lips are divided. Under the moonlight, Naruto looked up at Milajao Yuhi's jade face, and a fiery feeling rose in his body. "Naruto, get me, I don't want to be excluded from you, I want to be one of your many women." "No complaints," Mirage whispered in his ear. Hearing this, Naruto tightened his arms, his body was fiery, he hugged her tender body tightly, and only said one word, "Okay." Needless to say, Naruto felt that he didn't need to have any extra words for Mira, who knew everything about him. Now, the only thing that should be done is to satisfy her thoughts and satisfy your own thoughts. The long skirt on Mila's body slid down from her shoulders, revealing her jade-like body little by little. The huge softness on her chest was pressed against Naruto, and Naruto could clearly feel the heat coming from her. Passion, release at this moment. 982, 4 together. Just as the long dress on Mila was completely removed, and the silk panties were also removed to the ankle, the two who were about to enter the topic were suddenly awakened by another voice at the door. Oops! Naruto immediately realized that something was wrong, someone from outside the door. And what he sensed was actually Urza. The next moment, he hurriedly tucked Mira under the quilt. Click, the door opens. Urza walked in her pajamas. After closing the door, she saw Naruto lying on the bed sleeping with his eyes closed, with a mischievous smile on the corner of his mouth, suddenly came over and lifted the quilt, got in and leaned against Naruto's arms. Naruto's heart skipped a beat, but fortunately Urza was leaning on his left, and he didn't notice Mirage, who was hiding on his right and didn't dare to move. And Urza saw that Naruto still closed his eyes and didn't wake up, and suddenly reached out and touched him. In the morning, Naruto just entered his body, and then he was found and disturbed. How can I hold it back? So now Urza doesn't care if Naruto is asleep or not. He must be satisfied with himself. Naruto closed his eyes and sighed in his heart. Sure enough, there was an exclamation from the quilt. It's Mira. Immediately afterwards, Urza screamed even more surprised. There is a woman. Naruto couldn't bear it any longer, and just when she was about to lift the quilt to see what happened, he hugged her and covered her mouth with his hands. Shish, don't yell, Urza, Naruto hurriedly said. At this moment, Mirage quietly stuck out his head and looked at Urza from Naruto's right. Yuhi. You really came, Urza. Naruto let go of Urza's mouth. Urza pointed at Mirage and shouted, that's what I should say. You are indeed a Naruto woman. Mirage was speechless for a moment. Seeing how the two of them were so entangled, Naruto suddenly hugged them both hard and said, if that's the case, you two will serve me together tonight. What? Urza was shocked. Mira also raised Yuhi's jade face and screamed. Naruto can't control their reactions now, it's not daytime, and the two of them are automatically delivered to the door. It would be unreasonable not to eat them together. However, just when Naruto was about to attack the two, he sensed two breaths appearing at the door, and they seemed to have met at the door. Juvia and Kana, each in sexy underwear and a thin dress, stared at each other at the door. Juvia, so you have the same thoughts as me, Kana whispered. The morning is not over yet. Juvia won't give up, Juvia retorted. Humph. That's right, while Urza is away, let's decide the outcome first, and then we'll try with Urza. Kana snorted and opened the door. The two entered quickly. However, they opened their mouths immediately. Urza. Mira. At this time, Urza simply sat on the edge of the bed with Erlang's legs, while Mira was lying beside Naruto. They looked at each other with Kana and Juvia who had just entered. Urza had a sneer on her face. Let's go, she said flatly. By this time, there is no need to hide anything. Okay, let's start our morning decision. Kana pulled off the clothes she was wearing, revealing her charming body in sexy lingerie, and walked towards Naruto on the bed. And Juvia quickly followed, came to the other side of Naruto, and said to Mirage, Mira, it looks like you are going to rob Naruto with Juvia. In that case, Juvia also accept the challenge. For a time, the atmosphere in the room suddenly became full of gunpowder smell, which was incompatible with the quiet and distant moonlight slanting down the window at this time. At such a romantic time, the four women felt like they were on the battlefield in bed. Naruto finally couldn't stand this strange and eerie atmosphere. His body trembled, he wrapped his arms around him, and pressed all four daughters on the bed. It doesn't matter what your decision is, the four of you will all become my losers tonight. Naruto finished speaking, his hands folded, and the four girls were connected. But for a moment, the four girls were completely naked. Under the moonlight, the four white and tender bodies are displayed in front of them, all of them are so perfect. In contrast, Elsa's body is more plump, Mila's is more tender and smooth, Kana is like a cream, full of elasticity, and Juvia is as crystal clear as water, shining in the moonlight. Of light. The four delicate bodies appeared in front of him, and Naruto stripped off everything on his body with 3 strokes, 5 and 2, and then entered the main topic facing the four girls. The four girls were lying on the bed, and the momentum just now disappeared. Under Naruto's actions, their bodies became extremely sensitive. They originally wanted to use their own means to make Naruto comfortable enough. Became a shy moan under Naruto. Naruto first entered Urza's body, attacked her fiercely in front of the other 3 women, and made a crisp sound. Elsa raised her hips high, and she, who was watched by the other 3, miraculously entered the state, and even felt a very exciting feeling in her heart, unconsciously catering to Naruto. Sprinting, there were bursts of ups and downs in the mouth, and the other 3 women were shy Yuhi. Especially Mirage, she is still an out-and-out virgin. I have never seen such a scene before, and I immediately see that my body is hot, and my lower body is extremely uncomfortable. The 2 jade legs are constantly grinding together, and the mouth is even more painful. Is issued a groaning as if nothing. Kana was even more direct. Under her extremely uncomfortable body, she actually hugged Juvia who was beside her, rubbed her body on her tender body constantly, and used her chest to aim at Juvia's chest, making an incomparable gesture. Shameful action. Juvia is even more unbearable. She has just become a Naruto woman. She was very conservative before. The impact of this scene on her was so great that she didn't know what to do, so she could only rely on her. With their own instincts, they were guided by Kana to grind each other. For a time, there were all kinds of tempting moans, and the crisp sound of physical collisions. If Naruto had set up a soundproof barrier in the room, I am afraid that everyone around would have heard it. 983. Little things in the morning. Early the next morning. The sun shone into the room and fell on the white bed, which was warm. Naruto opened his eyes. Naked bodies under the quilt, with a satisfied smile on his face. It was an absolutely amazing fight last night. Urza, Kana, and Juvia, the 3 of them used their own methods to make Naruto comfortable and flirtatious, and they couldn't hold back and shot several times. Mirage, who was on the side, was stunned, and then he was pulled by Arusa and the others together and pressed under Naruto. The 3 girls saw that she was still a bitch, so they couldn't help making fun of her, and when Naruto entered when she was inside her body, Urza and the others actually went up and down on her, provoking her body in various ways. Mirage became so high that he couldn't help himself, and even got sprayed with water. It is said that there are two types of women under the bed, and now Naruto has thoroughly seen it. Moreover, the women are lewd and slutty. This is simply irrelevant between men and women, and they are completely immersed in sensuality. All in all, Naruto thinks this is the coolest time ever. Thinking of this, Naruto couldn't help but feel a little impulsive, feeling the wonderful body clinging to his side, and he could not wait to fight them for hundreds of more rounds. Well, it's dawn, is it dawn? At this time, Elsa opened her eyes slightly, with a hint of spring from last night in her beautiful eyes. She propped up her delicate body and looked out the window. Following her movements, Juvia, Kana, and Mirage all woke up in sequence. My head is a little dizzy. Kana shook her head, and her body still had some traces of dry liquid on her body. The excessive indulgence last night made her body a little empty. I have to say that Naruto's ability in this area is really powerful. Even if he is to control the four daughters together, the dragon and the tiger still do it all so delicately. The body is sore and weak. Juvia got up proudly, leaned on Naruto's chest, looked at Urza and Kana and giggled. Urusa, Kana, I won last night. My time is 18 minutes in an hour and you guys only have more than an hour. Obediently admit defeat. When Naruto heard her words, Naruto's heart felt a little hot. Juvia's physique is indeed very special. Maybe it is a natural water attribute, and it has the characteristics of tolerant of all things. No matter how Naruto attacked her, she screamed happily. Her body is obviously not tired. Not only that, but her body is worthy of the water attribute. Most of the tide on the bed yesterday was sprayed from her body. He stretched out his hand, suddenly lined up on Juvia's buttocks, and said with a smile, Juvia, how can you be so domineering? The four of you are all my women, don't grab anyone. Uwuously, Naruto-sama, how are you? It's clear that whoever wins will be with you. Zhao, Buttocks said angrily. Juvia, you are obviously cheating. You must have used magic last night. Otherwise, how could it last so long? Kana hurriedly argued. Yeah, Juvia must have cheated. I didn't expect that Urza would lose to others. This is absolutely impossible. Urza also helped. Juvia was very anxious, and became angry. You are shameless. Lord Naruto belongs to Juvia. Juvia's. She hugged Naruto's neck tightly, as if she wanted to integrate herself into his body. Naruto patted her jade back and laughed. Anyway, the four of you are mine. Everyone had a good time playing last night. We'll have to play together more in the future. Hearing this, the four daughters let out a light spit, and their faces turned into Yuhi. Yes, I really didn't expect that the four of them would do such a thing last night. At this moment, Mirage suddenly groaned slightly in pain. What's wrong, Mira? Naruto asked. I saw Milaji holding a pair of jade legs tightly together, frowning slightly on his face, and said with some distress, Naruto, it was too intense yesterday, and it's still a little painful there. Ah, isn't it? I'm really sorry, I'll show you. Naruto couldn't help but feel a little distressed when he heard it. Last night, they all blamed Urza and the others for completely provoking their own ashes. Regardless of Mila's virgin body, her movements were still so rude, which made her have multiple orgasms for the first time. As he spoke, Naruto pulled Mirage, who had a jade-faced connection to Yuhi, stretched out his hand to gently open her jade legs, and looked at the beautiful grassy area, but at this time, Yuhi was swollen. One Piece, I was really surprised to see it. Urza's three daughters also came over and looked at Mila's place with concern. Miraji's jade face was as charming as Yuhi's fire. At this time, she was smashed by Naruto's thigh, and the most secret place was so carefully scrutinized by four people, which made her body feel a very strange feeling. Hey, it's running water, Kana cried softly. Mirage was immediately embarrassed. Really, looking at him with four eyes, it was like there were countless hands touching there. How could he not feel it? Okay, don't bully Mila anymore. Naruto stretched his palm under Mila and pressed it gently. Ah, Mira let out a groan. Then, a green light lit up in Naruto's palm. Mila clenched her legs all at once, and firmly clamped Naruto's palm. She bit her lower lip and looked at him shyly. A cool and refreshing feeling came from below. At this moment, Mira only felt that every cell in her private part was cheering. This feeling was even better than making love with Naruto. It's so comfortable. Mila couldn't help but groaned up to the sky. Her body convulsed for a while, and she immediately fell into a high tide again. Naruto withdrew his hand with a wry smile. His hand was covered with the liquid flowing out from under Mira, with an extravagant aura. The power of life is used for medical treatment, and it actually brings such great pleasure to women. Just doing this makes Mila reach a climax. This is really amazing. This is amazing. Naruto. Kana couldn't help shouting when she saw this scene, and Urza and Juvia also looked surprised. Naruto, your hand actually has such magic power. I want me too. Ah, this is my medical technique. Such a miraculous medical technique, please help me treat it too. Help me heal. It's me, I go first. 984. The final game begins. Finally, the four women stopped arguing. Because they found that there was a knock on the door of the room. Someone is coming. Hurry up and get dressed. They started to organize their bodies in a panic. Urza's body flashed, and she put on a suit of armor and smiled proudly at the other girls who were flustered. Dressing up magic is really convenient at this time. Naruto, haven't you got up yet? Today is the last day of the game. Lucy's voice came from outside the door. Come on. Naruto turned around, quickly put on his clothes, then pointed out the window, and whispered to the four girls of Urza, you should avoid them first. Of course Urza and the others knew that it would be bad to be seen at this time, so they jumped out of the window immediately after getting dressed. Naruto opened the door. At the door, Lucy, Wendy, and Bisca stood there. Naruto, you got up so late. Everyone is waiting for you, Lucy said. Wendy tilted her head, but Sister Urza and the others don't know where they went. Urza and the others may have already gone to the competition venue, right? Naruto responded hurriedly. Oh, Wendy nodded. Then Naruto came to the downstairs of the hotel with them. Makarov and others were all waiting here. Urza and the four had appeared in the team at some point, and were secretly sticking out their tongues at Naruto. Really, life is getting more and more kinky. Chaos. Naruto thought to himself. The final day of the game is finally about to begin. This is the last day of the great demon fight and the time is scheduled in the afternoon. Coming to the dome, the participants of the major teams all discussed their next strategies. Because there is only one final today, that is, the survival plug that all the members participate in. In the survival plug of 6 teams and a total of 30 people, not only the military force, but also the resourcefulness and strategy are very important. Before that, the organizers announced the ground rules for the final. Among the 5 members of a team, a captain must be established. If the captain is defeated, he will directly get 5 points, and if he defeats the rest, he will get 1 point, but who the captain is will never be revealed, otherwise the captain will become the target of public criticism. Therefore, how to accurately judge where the leader of the opposing team is also very important in this survival game. Time finally made it to the afternoon, before the game was about to start. Naruto, Urza, Laxus, Natsu, Gray, the team consisting of these 5 strongest players entered the arena and played this game. Everyone was sure of winning. So far, Fairy Tail's score and Swordbite Tiger are on the same level, but due to the lack of Miss Minerva, the team formed by the temporary poll is very weak. This made everyone speculate, why did Miss Minerva not participate in the competition? Although she looked rather embarrassed that day, she wasn't so seriously injured that she couldn't even participate in this game, right? In fact, the current team of Swordbite Tiger is basically dead in name only. The leader was killed by Naruto, and the backbone of the young lady was sealed with magic power by him, and she disappeared. Therefore, in this survival game, the audience is almost optimistic about Fairy Tail. Boom! The referee's gongs and drums rang, and the sound spread throughout the field. The fifth and final day of competition finally begins. Because there are a lot of people in this competition, the venue is not in the dome, but in several areas in the entire capital city. In these areas, the kingdom has already done the evacuation work. Even if there is a battle, don't worry about accidentally hurting ordinary people, and even if the building is destroyed, you can use magic to restore it. In these areas, there are magic crystals as monitors, recording the every move of the contestants, and then reflecting them to the audience. The dome is just a starting point. After the referee announced the start of the game, a total of 30 people from 6 teams scattered almost in an instant to make their own arrangements. Princess, what do you think the ending will be like this time? Somewhere in the palace, Lucy, who had been watching the future of the game, asked. Next to her was Yukino. The faces of the 3 girls were all heavy. Because after the end of today's great demon fighting and martial arts, it is the critical moment to decide the solar eclipse plan. The result of the great demon fighting martial arts is no longer just the result of a single match, but is related to the fate of the entire country. The man said that Fairy Tail would win in the end, but he didn't tell me the specific details. Now, it seems that Fairy Tail is sure to win. The Emerald Princess replied. Is it because Mr. Naruto is there? But Miss Lucy said that in her future, Mr. Naruto does not exist. I always feel that there are more complicated things in all of this. Raise your brows. Yeah, so let's watch this game first. No matter what the result is, we will wait for Naruto to make a decision. Judging from this series of things, Naruto is definitely a crucial existence. Miss West has not seen him. Why are the details of the game so far so different from what Miss Lucy said? These puzzling things seem to be more foggy than the eclipse plan. Jade the princess sighed. Hey, I believe that what Mr. Naruto said must have a deep meaning. He said that we don't have to worry. I think he must have a way to deal with this matter. Yukino said ponderingly. I hope things can be as easy as Naruto said. Princess Emerald nodded and frowned again. I'm really concerned about the guy who told me about the eclipse plan. Why hasn't it appeared yet? Today is the last for a day. As a future man, he doesn't seem to be worried at all. Future Lucy sighed. Hey, princess, I haven't seen the future person you mentioned, but I think that since he came back here for the same purpose as me to save the world, then he must be. What are you deploying? Compared to what I can do now, I can only look at it and it is much better. Quote. Coming to this world from the future, Lucy was extremely confused. 985. Survival Match. Outside the capital city of the kingdom, on a slope somewhere. A figure is standing here, watching the game in the distant city. This is a black-haired boy, under a black cloak. The expression on his face is extremely indifferent. Jareth, what is your purpose? Beside him, accompanied by a clear female voice, Minerva's figure appeared. Her body appeared directly from the void, and the space magic was restored as before. And this black-haired boy is Jareth. My goal is in the city, Jareth said lightly. In the city, is that guy? Minerva, who had recovered from her serious injuries, narrowed her eyes slightly, and said with a dangerous aura on her body. She believed that only Naruto could care about a powerful being like Jareth. Jareth didn't speak. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and then slowly spoke. This world does not need 2 absolute powers, only one of me and him is allowed to exist. If I die, he is the god of this world, and if he dies, I will destroy this world and recreate a new world. Destroy the world? Then why are you helping me regain my strength? Said Minerva. Because in the new world, you will become my new force. Jareth glanced at her with a light expression. At this time, another figure came slowly from a distance. Jareth, is your target Uzumaki Naruto? Angel also appeared here, and the seal on her body was also unlocked by Jareth. Not only that, she also learned more from Jareth. Great magic. Jareth nodded. Uzumaki Naruto will be my biggest obstacle to destroying the world. Quote. Angela was silent. However, in another place, a mysterious figure was also peeping into the capital city from a distance. However, he is now a little furious, looking at the city viciously and muttering, "With that guy here, I can't even get close, it's abominable. If Emerald Princess is here, she will definitely recognize this person. This person is the future person who told him about the future and the solar eclipse plan. Shadow Dragon Dragon Slayer Magician, Future Rog." In the city, the 5 Naruto have already started the survival game. The other 4, led by Naruto, swaggered down the street. "Naruto, is it really okay for us to do this?" Urza asked with some doubts. There was a faint smile on Naruto's face, and there was no tension in his expression at all. Laxus said, "With a lineup like ours, whoever dares to come here is courting death." "Yeah, I'll burn anyone who dares to come over." Natsu laughed. "Che, it's messy enough." Gray curled his lips. Elsa shook her head helplessly. Although she knew that Naruto's strength was very strong, especially when she watched him directly let the Holy Ten's Jura surrender without a fight, she also understood that his strength was simply unfathomable, and she was far from being able to figure out his strength. However, in this survival match, there are many other teams, and the people from the other 5 teams are all elites. It would be bad if they united to besiege their own side first. At this moment, Naruto glanced at Urza, as if seeing through what she was thinking, and said with a smile, "Don't worry, just like what you said before, this survival game is also for me. Not a game at all." Quote. Urza was taken aback. Just then, there was a sudden explosion. 5 figures slowly emerged from the smoke. 4 hounds. Laxus sneered. "Oops, did the target of the ambush go wrong? It's actually this group of perverts." A curse came from among the 4 hounds. "Damn, who made you jump out without seeing it clearly? Come on, let's run away." Several people suddenly ran to the back. "Ha, the enemies who came to the door. Then let me clean them up." Seeing this, Natsu couldn't help but rushed out. "Hey, Natsu, come back," Gray exclaimed. Seeing Natsu rushing out so recklessly, he hurriedly followed. Naruto couldn't help shaking his head, but he didn't stop it. With the strength of Natsu and Gray, even 5 of the 4 hounds were more than enough. Moreover, he is not at all worried about other situations, because the breath of the other 3 teams is approaching towards him. "Do you want to attack in groups?" A smile appeared at the corner of Naruto's mouth. It seems that the strength that he showed before has scared them, otherwise, they would not have come to his direction by coincidence. Their purpose is obvious, to knock themselves down first, and then decide the winner and loser. Otherwise, the result of the melee will definitely be a big victory for my side. After all, the strength that he showed to overwhelm Jura, the strength of Laxus with 1 against 5, the strength of Urza alone to challenge the Temple of Demons, and the strength of Natsu against Sengyang alone, are all monsters in everyone's eyes. Power, if you don't fight together first, absolutely no one can resist it in the end. Therefore, Naruto understands what they are doing, but he is not afraid at all. What if a group of people came over? Among these people, Jura is the strongest, followed by Kagura, but even if there are 10 of them, Naruto has the confidence to easily defeat them. After all, the difference in strength between them has reached the level of a dimension. Even the original Mebus, who originally planned to devise an optimal action plan for the fairy tale team, gave up because Naruto's strength was beyond her calculations. Swish! A sword shadow flashed by, and Naruto turned slightly to the side, avoiding the sudden attack that descended from the top of his head, and smiled faintly. Has it finally appeared? I saw the black long straight girl Kagura holding a long sword and staring at Naruto excitedly. Beside her, there were other members of the mermaid Zhang. "Kagura, this guy's reaction is so fast. In the face of your sneak attack, he actually avoided it with just 1 step." The girl beside Kagura exclaimed in surprise. "I know he is very strong, but I must defeat him. This is my long-cherished wish." Kagura's face was extremely excited, looking at Naruto as if he was looking at his prey. His whole body exuded an astonishing feeling, the magic of his eyes, with an unprecedented frenzy in his eyes. 986. Crowd to attack. What a strange guy, Naruto murmured strangely when he heard her words. At this time, the ground suddenly shook, and a voice suddenly came from behind Naruto. Mr. Naruto, I finally meet you again. Jura of the Holy Ten. Urza and Laxus were slightly surprised. Beside Jula, Leon, Yuka, Kobold, Shirley looked at Naruto. It's a pity that Guy Gray isn't here. Leon shook his head. Shuelia stuck out her tongue and laughed. How strong is the man my sister likes? Just try my sky magic. Boom. A black lightning beam suddenly slanted down from midair, aiming at the place where the three of Naruto were, and blasted with unparalleled momentum. Naruto waved his hand, and a blue-white thunder light also flew out of his palm. With a bang, the thunder of white thunder collided. The explosion sounded and turned into a powerful air wave. Sword Bite Tiger. Appear. I saw the other five standing on the top of a building on the left of Naruto. Looking down at them, the newly added person was a big man with a stature like a giant tower. In the audience, a powerful lineup gathered in front of the three Naruto one by one, and everyone was excited about it. Look, these three teams are really going to deal with Fairy Tail together. Wow, that's really exciting. No matter how powerful Fairy Tail is, it's hard to fight against three teams at the same time, right? That's not necessarily true. The Uzumaki Naruto of the Holy Ten, Mr. Jura can't match it. I think Laxus is also very good. He killed the big crow's tail and a group of people. Urza singled out 100 monsters by herself. My goddess. The audience had various discussions. At this moment, even other cities, streets, and villages other than the capital were using magical means to watch the final result of the competition. Very good, everyone is here. Naruto suddenly said this wordlessly. Jura bowed to Naruto and apologized. Mr. Naruto, our behavior is really unfair, but we have to do it. I have a deep understanding of your strength, so we must hit you. Quote. Urza and Laxus quietly stood in front of Naruto. If you want to kill Naruto, let's pass our level first. They were full of fighting spirit. Naruto was the captain of this team. If he was killed, he would lose this time. Urza, get out of the way. Kagura called out coldly. She looked directly at Naruto behind Urza. The one I want to fight is him. Feeling that countless auras around him were converging on him, Naruto suddenly showed a sunny smile on his face. He smiled and said to Urza and Laxus, you don't have to block me. Since everyone wants to get rid of me first, let them come. Is this okay? Urza asked worriedly. It doesn't matter, this is just right, save the trouble, let's solve it together. Naruto waved his hand and said lightly. Hearing Naruto's words, the surrounding people immediately became vigilant. Their eyes were fixed on Naruto, and the magic power of the whole body was condensed, ready to attack at any time. This has already brought together the most elite magicians in the world, and all the top talents in the major guilds are present. Ah! With a deep drink, Kagura finally couldn't help rushing towards Naruto. She was holding a long sword in her hand, and a powerful magic force gathered on the blade. Two halves. Naruto frowned. Among the people present, this black long straight girl was the most hostile to him, and from her attack, her true strength had not been fully exerted. Swish! Accompanied by a burst of sword light, her figure instantly appeared on top of Naruto's head, and the blade slashed down against Naruto's body. Snapped. However, Naruto just gently stretched out her index and middle fingers, and suddenly caught her long knife. At this moment, all the momentum that Kagura was rushing to carry seemed to be strangled by someone's throat, and suddenly stagnated. Dissolve. Naruto's body didn't even move, not even his clothes were blown. Kagura's attack had no effect on him. Kagura was shocked, and then she hurriedly drew back the knife, but found that her knife was motionless. At this moment, 4 huge rocks Jinchuriki column burst out from the ground around Naruto. With a bang, he hit Naruto at the center. Without raising his eyelids, Naruto stretched out his hand and waved. Along with Urza and Laxus, a transparent circular energy shield suddenly appeared around his body. Shi Jinchuriki column slammed on the energy shield, but couldn't shake it. Urza and Laxus just wanted to shoot, but stopped because of the appearance of the mask. This is a protective barrier, and attacks from outside cannot enter. Naruto looked at the surprised Kagura in front of him, let go of the knife in her hand, and asked, "Do I have any grudge against you? Why are you targeting me like this?" Kagura retreated, trying to escape the energy shield, but his body slammed into it with a bang, unable to retreat. She took a deep breath, stood up straight, looked directly at Naruto and said, "Because of Gerald." Gerald. Naruto couldn't help but froze for a moment. He turned to look at Urza, who was also confused. Kagura added, "Gerald is my enemy. My brother Simon was taken away by him and used as a slave for many years, and our village was slaughtered, so I must kill him with my own hands. However, 7 years ago, I heard the news that Gerald was killed by you. He is the one I want to kill. Who allowed you to kill him by minding your own business? Who allowed it?" Kagura suddenly with a loud roar, he jumped up again. The sheathed sword in her hand slashed at Naruto again. This time, without waiting for Naruto to make a move, Urza had already waved her sword and stopped in front of Naruto, and stopped him with a bang. Urza said coldly, "Is that why you want to fight Naruto? It's so boring." Kagura forced Urza back with a knife and shouted, "No. This is not boring. Can you understand the feeling that I can't kill the enemy? This feeling tortures me all the time, since I can't kill Gerald, then defeat the Uzumaki Naruto who killed Gerald. For my 7 years of pain." 987. Kill Kagura. Kagura's strong fighting spirit was a bit surprising to Naruto. However, she is actually Simon's younger sister. It's no wonder that her village was destroyed and she became an orphan, and her brother who depended on each other was also taken away as a slave. Naruto pressed Urza's shoulders, telling her not to act rashly, then asked Kagura, "Since that's the case, have you found your brother Simon now?" Kagura nodded and said, "I have found my brother. He has joined another guild and is doing well now, but this cannot erase the pain he suffered. As a younger sister, I must avenge him." "Really, how can you just hold on to hatred like this? Since your brother is living well now, why bother with the past? Besides, Gerald is dead, I think you should thank me." Naruto suddenly smiled. Kagura's eyes flashed, and suddenly he snorted, "Who will thank you? Nosy guy, you killed Gerald, how much I want to defeat you for the past 7 years. Then I can prove myself. Kill Gerald too, I don't need you to do it." Hearing this, Naruto shook his head and sighed, what a wonderful way of thinking. At this moment, Urza suddenly burst out laughing. "What are you laughing at?" Kagura said angrily with a cold face. Urza glanced at Naruto and said with a smile, "Can I understand that Kagura has always worshipped you?" "Nonsense." Kagura immediately scolded. "Uzumaki Naruto is the guy the first have to defeat. If you dare to talk nonsense again, I will kill you." Elsa smiled, stepped back behind Naruto, and gave him a white look. "Naruto, it seems that I'll leave it to you, this girl is really a trouble." Naruto laughed bitterly. He also didn't understand what Kagura wanted. If he wanted to beat himself just because of Gerald, the reason would be too far-fetched, but if, as Urza said, Kagura was one of his admirers, this is also a bit confusing. Is his charm so strong that even a girl who has never met can be fascinated? Anyway, he was a little confused for a while. At this time, Kagura had ignored the 3721, and rushed towards Naruto again. "I must defeat you," Kagura shouted stubbornly. She was furious at Urza's words. She reached out and pressed the handle of the knife. "This knife was unsheathed to kill Gerald, now I will use this power to defeat you." On the outside of the protective cover, everyone's various attacks were ineffective. Several people from the mermaid Zhang saw Kagura fighting Naruto at close range inside the protective cover, and they were very worried. Seeing her finally, they were all surprised when they wanted to pull out the grudge knife. "Kagura, no, he's not Gerald. Kagura, don't be impulsive. Really, if you draw a knife, no one can stop it." However, Kagura had an excited look on her face, and her desire to defeat Naruto drove her to be desperate. Even if this knife existed to kill the enemy, when facing a strong man like Naruto, she would not. I just want to do my best to show my strength. She wants to let Naruto know that she is strong. Strong enough to shock him. Swish. A black light suddenly flashed from Kagura's sword, and her long sword was finally unsheathed. A sword energy that was enough to shake the space lingered on her blade, and the dark blade light with an unparalleled shocking momentum slashed towards Naruto's chest. Naruto. Elsa was startled, because the aura of this knife could not even be estimated by herself. She stood beside Naruto, even though the knife was released at Naruto. She also had this kind of feeling that her body was intimidated by this momentum. If she changed herself, she would definitely not be able to resist. Even Lax's complexion changed slightly. This knife is enough to tear everything. A look of astonishment flashed in Naruto's eyes. The power contained in Kagura's sword actually cut open the space of this world. The black behind the space is exposed. This sword technique is actually similar to the nature of space magic. And still such a quick and decisive attack. Naruto estimates that only the powerful Jura can resist. This is very similar to the previous Madara Dove ability, but Kagura's power is more concise and powerful. However, no matter how earth-shattering Kagura's knife was, it only surprised Naruto. With her magical power, it was really not easy to launch such an attack. It's a pity that Naruto is going to let her down. This time, he didn't even bother to stretch out his hand, and just stood there, motionless. Waves of space suddenly appeared on the surface of his body, like a layer of isolated protective shield. Kagura's knife light just came to Naruto's chest, and her entire knife seemed to be stuck, unable to move. Can't even go forward and backward. It stayed only a few centimeters away from Naruto's chest. And the power on the knife seemed to sink into the sea, causing no harm to Naruto's body. Naruto still had the same smile on his face. This smile is very dazzling in Kagura's eyes. Damn, why are you so strong? Why can you stop even my strongest attack? Kagura shouted angrily. Her face was dripping with sweat, and she was struggling. At this time, Naruto stretched out his hand, gently pushed aside her long knife, stretched out a little. Kagura's body suddenly moved involuntarily, and uncontrollably put the knife into the sheath. What did you do? Kagura exclaimed in shock and anger when Naruto released the control. Naruto took a few steps forward, came to her, looked down at her, and smiled. This is the end of the little girl's wayward behavior, right? This level of strength cannot defeat me. Yes, damn it. Boom. With a knife in hand, Kagura was hit in the neck by Naruto before he had time to react, and he fell to the ground and fainted. Urza laughed and said, I remembered, this girl and I used to be in the same village. After this competition is over, I will have a good chat with her, maybe she will give up the idea of defeating you. Naruto nodded. If you actually know her, then you have to persuade her, otherwise it will be really annoying. 988. Overpowering the heroes. In the audience, after seeing Kagura entering the energy shield set up by Naruto, he was killed without even shaking Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto, take down Captain Zhang of the Mermaid. 5 points. The points are shown above. The morale of the entire team of Mermaid Zhang was greatly affected. How is that possible? Kagura will fail. She even pulled out her sword. Even our guild leader should be afraid of that power, but he is still so powerless in front of Uzumaki Naruto. How strong is that guy? Yeah, Naruto's power is much stronger than it was 7 years ago. Miliana couldn't help but say. What should I do now? Even Kagura is down, we're going to have a bad time. At this time, Naruto removed the energy shield and walked out with Urza and Laxus. He glanced at Ursha and said, Arusa, go and clean up Miliana and the others. No matter what, this survival game still has to let you guys take action too. Urza heard the words and nodded. Then I'll go. Cover for me. After she finished speaking, she charged towards Miliana and the others. With a 1-on-4, Urza is not at all timid. The strongest Kagura has been eliminated by Naruto, and the remaining 4 are far inferior to her. Since that's the case, I'm going to do it too. Laxus also rushed out towards the other 2 teams. He took the lead to go to Origa of the Swordbite Tiger and duel. The rest are all handled by Naruto. The enthusiasm of the audience was high. I just saw Kagura being instantly killed by Naruto, and more importantly, under the protective shield, the attacks of everyone around him could not hinder him. This kind of power is unimaginable. And now, Naruto has removed the protective cover. Is he finally going to do it? What kind of power would that be? Only at this point did the audience deeply understand that Naruto's strength was completely beyond the scope of this competition, and no one could be his opponent. Not even Mr. Jura could shake him. I knew that this guy's strength was completely beyond his calculations. Maybe he has really reached that level. Mebus said in the audience. Makarov couldn't help breaking out in cold sweat. In the first generation, does the realm you mentioned really exist? Mebus said faintly. I only know that Jareth is pursuing this realm, but he can't reach it either. That's a shocking guess, Makarov murmured. In the battle arena, Naruto stood in the center of the crowd, and a group of people, headed by Jura, looked at him with an extremely vigilant look. Mr. Naruto, your strength is too strong. We have been attacking together for so long and can't break your defense. I don't think we need to continue this game. Jura suddenly stood up with a face said sincerely. Naruto smiled lightly. That's what you said. Since that's the case, in order to make this game more interesting, I think it's better to decide the winner and loser first. I won't participate in all battles for the time being, and wait until all of you win. After the loss, come back to me. At least in this way, there is still a chance for you to compete for the second place. Otherwise, if I make a move, the game will be a foregone conclusion at once. Quote. What Mr. Naruto said. Since that's the case, we'll follow your suggestion and fight each other until the second place is decided. It's so arrogant. Sting roared, and suddenly rushed towards Naruto. The roar of the white dragon. An extremely strong laser beam shot towards Naruto's direction. Naruto glanced at it, stretched out one hand, and pulled slightly. In an instant, the strong beam of light ejected from Sting's mouth suddenly gathered in Naruto's palm, as if it was absorbed, and was actually caught in his hand. Immediately afterwards, Naruto stretched out his hand and waved lightly, and all the light suddenly returned and landed on Sting with a bang. Sting screamed and fell directly to the ground. One more point for Fairy Tail. You must not try to attack me, otherwise, it will only weaken the strength of your team. Naruto said to everyone. Then, his figure flashed, suddenly appeared at the top of a building, sat down directly, closed his eyes and entered into meditation. Thank you very much. Seeing this, Jura bowed his thanks to Naruto and waved his hand. Now, let's fight for the second place. Yes, everyone in the scale of Snakeheim nodded. After seeing Naruto's power, now they finally understand why Mr. Jura is so humble to Naruto. Only the strong can deeply appreciate the power of the real strong. Mr. Jura has jumped to the 5th place in the Holy 10. Except for the 4 heavenly kings who can never be shaken, he is the strongest existence in the known Holy 10, but it is clear that Naruto's strength is definitely beyond the existence of Mr. Jura. Such a powerful person cannot be defeated. This was undoubtedly revealed in the fact that his group of people tried their best to break his defense, and that Kagura and Sting were both directly killed. Mr. Jura's judgment is correct. Let's play against other people while we are now, and try to get as many points as possible. Leon also said after looking at Naruto. In the audience, many people expressed their dissatisfaction with the survival game that developed in this way. I didn't expect that Naruto would be so overwhelmingly powerful that even the 3 teams couldn't force him to exert all his strength. What else is there to do? Look good. It's so boring. Everyone is here to see a great showdown. Whoever goes up and fights Uzumaki Naruto will be directly stabbed by a finger. What's so exciting about this? However, it is equivalent to those ordinary audiences who truly desire powerful magicians to be deeply shocked and envied by Naruto's power. Magic, when can we cultivate to such a level? At this time, Naruto was sitting at the top of the building, closing his eyes and entering a mysterious realm. Because just now, he suddenly sensed a special aura approaching, very familiar. But the breath suddenly disappeared again, which made him very concerned, and now he directly entered the natural mode, letting his own source power and heaven and earth merge together, and carefully search for everything in a wide range. 989. The eclipse begins. The battles between other teams took longer than expected. Urza and Laxus also joined the fray, and fought fiercely with other teams. Naruto was still sitting at the top of the building, his eyes closed and motionless. Everyone was surprised by his behavior. In a blink of an eye, it was already dusk. The survival game has finally reached its final hour. Urza defeated the other four of the mermaid Zhang, but she also suffered some injuries. Laxus defeated Auriga, then Rufus, and finally faced the giant tower man, but he couldn't shake him. Eventually, the scales of Serpentheim's team joined the fray. A scuffle came down. In the end, only Jura, Urza, Laxus, Leon, Rufus, and the giant tower man stood. The remaining six fought an amazing battle again. Laxus faced Jula, Urza faced Rufus, and Leon faced the giant tower man. The three-way melee was brilliant. The audience applauded. At this time, Fairy Tail's score was far ahead, reaching 56 points. It deserved the first place. Even if Urza and Laxus failed next, it didn't matter. Inside the palace, the Emerald Princess directly instructed her subordinates to go to the hall where the solar eclipse was located. According to the mysterious person, the opening of the solar eclipse plan is to use the power of the Protoss magician to open the solar eclipse plan when the sun in the sky is covered by the moon. Now the sky is getting darker. The solar eclipse is about to start. The Emerald Princess looked up at the sky. Sure enough, there was a small defect on the edge of the sun in the sky. The outline of the moon is very clear. Everyone in the audience also noticed the change in the sky, and they all exclaimed, "Solar eclipse. It's actually a solar eclipse. It's getting dark. It's incredible. Look, the game is about to be decided. Why hasn't that Uzumaki Naruto moved?" At this time, somewhere far away, Jareth was heading towards the imperial capital with Minerva and Angel. "Are you finally going to do it, Jareth?" Hatred flashed in Minerva's eyes. Angela looked complicated. "No, once I do it, that guy will come, and everything will be out of my control," Jareth said lightly. "What does that matter? Just kill Uzumaki Naruto. What does it matter to the lives of others?" Jareth frowned and glanced at Minerva. "Before destroying this world, I must use Uzumaki Naruto as a stepping stone. If I still can't get the world's recognition after defeating him, I will do it again. Destruction plan. Until then, I don't want to cause unnecessary casualties." Minerva was startled and felt Jareth's oppressive aura, and she hurriedly stopped talking. Angel suddenly said, "Jareth, do you really have to defeat Uzumaki Naruto? He is my best trial stone in this world," Jareth said slowly. "If I can't kill him, then it must be me." At this time, Minerva said, "Angier, you are one of the 6 demons, and you are Jareth's loyal family. You must not have the slightest sympathy for Uzumaki Naruto. You must remember that he is sealed. The person of your power. Don't forget who liberated your power in the end and gave you stronger power. Our goal is a deeper world and power. Follow Jareth and create together." Quote. Angela looked shocked. In the palace, in front of the huge circular door, Emerald Princess, future Lucy, Yukino, and many people who knew the plan stood here, waiting for that moment to come. The Emerald Princess was extremely nervous. Because this is the moment of life and death for the country, the people who cheered in the stadium have not realized that now, the door to change the fate of the country is about to open here. "There's still a while, evacuate the crowd now," the Emerald Princess ordered. The knight commander of the army led the way. The audience in the dome was quickly evacuated by the army, and the people in the capital city were also driven to the evacuation center. What's going on? Why have the ordinary audience been evacuated? Many magicians in the auditorium in the dome were surprised. Because they saw people from the national army pass by, and took away all the audience who were watching the fun without magic, leaving only the magicians. At this time, the survival game continues. There is no need to argue about the victory of Fairy Tail, because the score is so wide that even if all three of Naruto are defeated, they cannot be caught up by the latecomers. At this moment, what everyone wants to see is nothing but a wonderful battle. But the sudden evacuation of the masses made people in the major guilds suspicious. Why did this happen at this critical moment in this big magic fight? In the battlefield, Naruto, who had been sitting at the top of the building, finally opened his eyes. His gaze was directed towards a certain direction in the sky in the distance, and there was a flash of thought in his eyes. After his careful search, he finally found the approaching aura. It was actually the black dragon Acneroria. Not only that, even the aura of Jareth was hidden not far outside the city, as well as another guy with a Jareth aura who was approaching quickly. The sudden occurrence of so many unexpected events surprised Naruto. Is all this because of the eclipse plan? If it is really because of the solar eclipse plan that attracts the black dragon and Jareth to approach, then this plan is really useful for me. Regardless of whether the 10,000-headed dragon will appear or not, being able to find the black dragon and Jareth again is a big event in itself. He stood up, looked at Urza and the others who were still fighting below, and announced, "This is the end of the battle. More important things are coming." Originally, he didn't care much about the solar eclipse plan, but he didn't expect that the black dragon and Jareth would appear during the solar eclipse plan, which had to attract his attention. "Naruto, what's wrong? Did something happen?" Urza looked up and asked. Naruto flashed and appeared in front of her. He pointed in the direction of the dome and said, "Everyone, let's go there and concentrate. I'll tell you the specifics when we get there." 990. Appearance of the dragon. At this time, everyone else also woke up. Although they were all injured because of the battle, Naruto waved his hand, and a green light suddenly poured into everyone's head. Then, the wounds on their bodies, as well as their physical strength, magic power, all recovered at an astonishing speed. This is. They, who had never experienced such a recovery, were shocked. Magic power, wounds, physical strength, all recovered in a short period of time. I feel better now than before the battle. Kagura's complexion was complicated, and there was deep shock in his eyes. Looking at the man in front of him who had recovered everything while waving his hands, he didn't know what it was like. Such a man, he really can never catch up. "Okay, everyone has almost recovered. Come to me now. I will take you to the dome. His Majesty the King has something to say." Naruto beckoned to everyone. Everyone came to Naruto with puzzled and surprised expressions. "Is it space magic?" Jiraiya asked. Naruto nodded. "There is not much time, let His Majesty the King explain some things to you." Seeing that everyone was in the range around him, Naruto stretched out his hand and made a slight seal, and in the next instant, a wave of spatial fluctuations came out. He and everyone around him disappeared here. Inside the dome, Naruto suddenly appeared in the middle of the arena. At this time, most of the surrounding magicians and people from the guild had gathered here, and in front of them stood the king and his personal guards. After Naruto appeared, His Majesty the King nodded to him. "You first listen to the king to finish the matter, and I will leave." He flashed and disappeared again. What the hell is going on? It's so mysterious that even His Majesty the King has appeared. Since most of the people present did not know the arrangement of the solar eclipse plan, the sudden arrangement at this time made everyone very puzzled. Only Lucy knew this. Seeing Naruto disappear, she prayed secretly in her heart. The plan must be successful. In front of Princess Emerald, Naruto suddenly flashed. "Jade, Lucy, Shuinai, you are all ready." He saw that the huge door had appeared on the square in front of the palace. It's finally here. The expressions of all the people around were inspiring. Well, Naruto, fairy tale has definitely won. I judged based on this result. Although there are some discrepancies with what Miss Lucy said, I think this plan has to be completed, and everyone supports me. It's gone. Princess Emerald saw him appear, and immediately ran over and grabbed him and said, "Don't worry too much, just do it." Naruto nodded and said affirmatively, "Yeah." Princess Emerald nodded heavily. Naruto looked up into the air, the sky quickly dimmed, the solar eclipse was halfway through, and darkness gradually enveloped the land. In the distance, he clearly felt the approach of those few breaths. No matter what the purpose of those guys, the battle is inevitable. Naruto was inexplicably excited. In this big magic fight, he was completely unable to show his strength, and everyone was so weak that he couldn't arouse his interest at all. But next, he thought it would be a very heated battle. At the dome, His Majesty the King also told everyone about the solar eclipse plan. Naturally, everyone was shocked and frightened, and then the raging fighting spirit burned. No matter what happened next, everyone decided to protect it. This country, protect human beings. Finally, the sun in the sky was completely covered, the earth was dark and gloomy, and the city seemed to be enveloped in a terrifying atmosphere. "Princess, the eclipse plan can begin." Captain Knight stepped forward to remind Emerald Princess. At this moment, all the people present were staring at the door tightly. Shui Nai and future Lucy walked up, and the two slowly opened the door handle of the solar eclipse with the power of the celestial magician. A strong flash of white light flashed from the crack of the door, and everyone could not help but close their eyes. Only Naruto's eyes were sharp, staring closely at the thing behind the door. Boom! The door is finally fully open. The Emerald Princess looked excitedly looking forward to the upcoming changes. However, Naruto was suddenly surprised and said, "So it is, this gate really has the ability to connect two worlds." Everyone backs up. What? Everyone took a step back and quickly looked inside the door, but in the white light, everyone couldn't see anything at all. Roar! A dull roar came from the door. Everyone was stunned. Immediately afterwards, an incomparably huge dragon claw poked out from behind the door. Boom! Accompanied by a violent air wave, everyone at the door was shocked and flew out. Naruto stretched out his arms, holding Jade, Shuiluo, and Lucy in his arms, and looked at the huge figure with his head sticking out of the door. Dragon! Dragon! The gate of time and space is connected to the era of dragons 400 years ago. It really isn't a weapon used to launch attacks against dragons, it's just a pure gate of time and space. But I finally saw it. Naruto murmured, pulling Jade, Shuiluo, and Lucy who had been stunned behind him. "Look at what I've done, is this the solar eclipse plan?" The dragon actually appeared from behind the door. "Is it all because of me?" Princess Emerald trembled violently when she saw this scene, and she took a sip. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and he knelt down behind Naruto. Naruto couldn't help being startled, and hurriedly lifted her up again. A force of life entered. "Jade, cheer up." "Naruto, hurry, stop them." The Emerald Princess cried, clutching at his clothes, her voice hoarse and desperate. She didn't expect that everything she thought was saving the country would bring such great danger to the world. The dragon came out from behind the door. Who could have imagined this? "From now on, do you want to become a sinner of the country and the times?" The first dragon finally squeezed out of the door. It flew directly into the sky and danced happily in midair. Then, the second dragon appeared from the door. Watching these dragons come out one by one, those who were shaken already didn't know what to do. 991. Dragon. Naruto made a decisive decision, and directly separated a Mokuten wood-style clone to protect Princess Jade, Yukino, Lucy in the future and others, and the main body rushed towards the gate. "Naruto, close the door," the Emerald Princess shouted. Naruto looked stern, and the next moment he appeared in front of the Eclipse Gate, facing a fire dragon who had just stuck his head out. Although I'm a little curious about the age of dragons in your past, but now I invite you to go back. This age does not belong to you." He simply waved his hand, and a force was born out of thin air in the air. The dragon suddenly opened its mouth wide and roared, trying to resist the power that Naruto displayed. However, its body involuntarily retreated to the back of the door, unable to resist the powerful force Naruto wielded from the air. There are such powerful humans in this era. Roar. The roar of the dragon spewed out of its mouth, and a strong flame slammed into Naruto's body. The ground around it instantly became a piece of lava, and the earth was burned by the flames. "Hey, are you still trying to resist? Go back." Seeing that it was still so ignorant, Naruto snorted and patted his palm forward, and in an instant, a hurricane that was even more violent than the flame rolled backwards. Back. Boom. The hurricane formed the posture of a tornado, and bombarded the fire dragon with a bang. The fire dragon let out a sad roar, and the body was directly slammed back by the hurricane. With a big wave of Naruto's hand, a soft force pulled the handle of the Eclipse Gate, and it closed tightly with a bang. Then, he opened his fingers again, aimed at the Eclipse Gate, and muttered in his mouth, "The gate of space, open." An invisible wave floated up from around the Eclipse Gate, and then spread out like water waves. When the ripples in the space were completely dispersed, the gate of the solar eclipse had disappeared into the air, and he had taken it into his own space. This is the strongest trick that Naruto has learned recently, the space domain. The Eclipse Gate has been included in his own space, and he will study it later. At this time, there was a giant dragon flying everywhere in the sky. Seeing that Naruto finally closed the gate of the solar eclipse, Princess Emerald and the others couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. "Naruto, thanks to you, otherwise, if so many dragons came out, our country would definitely be destroyed." Future Lucy sighed. "I didn't expect the true face of the solar eclipse plan to be like this. I don't know, but it's damned to bring wrong information into the world." Princess Emerald was paralyzed in Naruto's avatar's arms, and Shueluo watched her from the side. Naruto walked over, took Princess Jade from the avatar's arms, released the avatar, and said to her, "Jade, don't worry, I have closed the door of the solar eclipse, and then I just need to deal with this dragon who came out to make trouble. That's it." Princess Emerald's eyes were full of tears of remorse, and there was a trace of blood on the corner of her mouth. She grabbed Naruto's clothes tightly and asked, "Naruto, am I a sinner? I brought the disaster to this country. I made it all by myself." Naruto sighed slightly. Seeing her remorse and self-blame, he couldn't help but say, "It's not your fault, it's the mysterious guy who told you about the future. You're just being deceived. I'll definitely look for it. Get out that guy and take revenge for you. You'd better rest first." He stretched out his hand and pressed it on top of Jade's head, and a gentle force entered her body. She finally slowly closed her eyes and fell asleep. "Shui now, Lucy, I'll leave the Emerald Princess to you. I have more important things to do next," Naruto said after handing her over to the two of them. "Yeah, don't worry, Mr. Naruto. You have to be careful too." Yukino looked at Naruto and nodded heavily, with a look of great concern in her eyes. Naruto smiled lightly. "It's all right, it's just a small experiment and something went wrong. That little bug will be resolved soon." Seeing his calm appearance, Shuinai was also full of confidence when he thought of how he stopped the dragon's roar just now with a wave of his hand, and easily beat the mighty dragon back. "Yeah, I trust you, Mr. Naruto." At this time, the magicians in the dome also saw the movement here, as well as the giant dragon in the sky, and their faces all showed fear. The dragon came out of the door. "What the hell is going on? Your Majesty, we need a reasonable explanation. The solar eclipse you just mentioned was used to stop the 10,000-headed dragon. Why did such a sudden change occur? Yeah, if it weren't for Mr. Naruto's efforts, I'm afraid there would be countless dragons now. Mr. Naruto is really amazing." The king was in a cold sweat. Of course he didn't know why this happened, because all this was done by his daughter Emerald Princess, but his own daughter would never hurt the country, so the only thing he could think of was that mysterious future man ghost. At this time, the future Rog appeared near the palace. He saw only one dragon appeared in the sky. He couldn't help but cursed. Damn. That Uzumaki Naruto ruined my good deeds. There is only one dragon now, and it is impossible to achieve. As much as I want. The situation is not good. Let's retreat first. Suddenly, a voice sounded from behind him. So you are the guy behind the scenes. Who? Future Rog was startled, and quickly turned to look, only to see three charming women standing there. It is Ulu, Yulusha and Melty. They had been secretly paying attention to Rog's breath in the future. When he rushed into the capital city desperately at the beginning of the solar eclipse plan to take advantage of the chaos, the three of them had quietly approached him. After years of practice, the strength has already reached the Holy 10, and now it is even stronger, surpassing Jura. They stared at him angrily. Using the solar eclipse to bring the dragon to this time and space, what exactly do you want to do? In the future, Rog snorted coldly. He knew that the strength of the people in front of him was not bad, and it was difficult for him to escape for a while. He couldn't help laughing. I want to become the king of this world. But this plan was given by the hateful Uzumaki Naruto. Destroyed. Now let's all be screwed together. 992. Black Dragon appears. Huh, I don't know what you're talking about. Ulu frowned slightly, and with a wave of her hand, an extremely condensed cold air flew out of her palm, and instantly enveloped the future Rog. In the future, Rog's body suddenly turned into a shadow and flew backwards. Ulu's eyes flashed, and the cold air suddenly condensed into a whip, and he followed closely. Boom! Suddenly, a black energy light wave flashed, and it exploded with the cold air of Ulu. In the future, Rog's figure flashed and suddenly appeared in front of the youngest and weakest Melty. Melty couldn't help but be stunned. She was just about to resist, but Rog's attack in the future had already arrived. He punched out, with black shadow energy, as if to completely devour this flower girl. At this moment, Urusha stretched out both hands, and an invisible magical energy blocked in front of Melty, entangling the arm of the future Rog. Wow! The shadow energy dissipated instantly, and Rog looked surprised in the future. An ice arrow suddenly shot from the side and landed on his back with a swoosh. Boom! In the future, Rog groaned and quickly retreated back. The ice on his back has condensed, forming a sheet of frost. The energy of the shadow revolved quickly on him, and the frost slowly disappeared. Powerful ice magic, time magic. Damn, Rog murmured in the future. Although he came from the future and his strength was very strong, he was fighting against the three strong women in front of him. It will definitely be delayed, and it will be bad when the black dragon arrives. Thinking of this, he hurriedly dodged, turned into a shadow and flew backwards. Want to run? There's no way. Ulu's figure flashed and he immediately chased out, and Yulusha and Melty quickly followed. And on the other side, Naruto had already noticed Ulu's side, and he did not immediately kill the future Rog, because the combined strength of the three Ulus was enough to deal with him. He has more guys to deal with now. The giant dragon in front of him, and the two evil auras that are approaching. Jareth, the black dragon. He must now think carefully about the strategy to deal with it. Below Naruto, the kingdom troops and all the magicians gathered there, and they all looked up at Naruto and the giant dragon facing off. It turns out that the dragon really exists. This is terrible. Does Naruto Uzumaki want to defeat that dragon one by one? I think with the strength of all of us, we should be able to deal with that giant dragon. Coupled with the power of Naruto, the dragon is nothing to be afraid of. However, Naruto knew that the power of the giant dragon in front of him was very powerful, and even if the magician below came together, he might not be able to kill it. Once the difference in strength is too great, no matter how large the number is, it will not help. The most important thing is that even if the strength of the giant dragon in front of you does not need to be feared, the strength of the black dragon and Jareth is still higher than this. The only thing that can be done now is to let everyone evacuate as soon as possible, otherwise it will only cause unnecessary casualties. Thinking of this, Naruto suddenly shouted towards the bottom, "You all hurry to retreat to the palace. Just leave a few people with the strength of the Holy Ten here." "What? We also have to fight? Don't underestimate us." Many magicians shouted, and they were filled with righteous indignation. Their blood boiled, thinking about being able to defend their family and the country in this battle. What a supreme kind of glory. Naruto shook his head. He glanced at Jura and the presidents. Several people nodded and understood, and quickly ordered their guild subordinates. "Everyone listen to Mr. Naruto, hurry to the palace." "Kagura, aren't you coming?" "No, I can still fight." "Who would listen to that guy? There must be a limit to being cool. How can I back down at this time?" Kagura sneered while looking at Naruto in midair. "However, your strength has not reached the level of the Holy Ten. Don't underestimate me." "Mr. Jura, then please. Be careful, we will cheer you on." Seeing the crowd surging under their feet, under the persuasion of the prestigious presidents, those who felt that their strength was not strong all entered the palace according to what Naruto said. Only the presidents of the major guilds, a few Dragon Slayer magicians, and elites such as Jura, Kagura, Shiraya, Leon, Gray, and Urza were left at the scene. Seeing that Urza and the others didn't leave either, Naruto couldn't help frowning slightly. But now there was no time. The dragon in front of him suddenly roared, "Humans! I will swallow you alive." As soon as its huge wings moved in the air, it immediately brought a gust of wind, and the people in the ground were almost unsteady. Then, its body had slammed into Naruto fiercely, with a big mouth. Looking at the posture, it really wanted to eat Naruto. Naruto's expression didn't change, his figure flashed, and the next moment he suddenly appeared on top of the dragon's head, standing firmly on its head. "Little reptile, you are destined to be a tragedy in this era." Naruto said something inexplicably, and then his body disappeared again. The next moment, a huge black shadow suddenly appeared in the sky, as if it was a meteorite that fell from the sky, and slammed into the dragon. Boom! An earth-shattering loud noise came from the air, accompanied by a violent wave. The air could not help shaking. Everyone looked in shock and saw that the huge black shadow was actually a dragon again. A black dragon. The giant dragon slammed onto the previous giant dragon, and with an incomparably violent force, it landed on the ground under Naruto's feet with a bang. Fortunately, many magicians are all strong, and they hurriedly flew back to avoid being affected. Despite this, everyone was still dazed by this earth-shattering blow. They only felt that the whole earth was about to crack. The strong shock made Makarov and these strong men a little unstable and almost fell. This is the Black Dragon Akunoralia, Makarov exclaimed. The crowd also changed in unison. Akunoralia, I didn't expect it to appear. It's really bad. On the other side of the palace, the king and others who saw the black dragon appearing were also discolored and sweating. This is the black dragon that defeated us 7 years ago with one blow. Why did it suddenly appear here? Naruto, Urza murmured, and suddenly, she found that Naruto's body appeared. She couldn't help being surprised by the incomparably violent momentum. 993. Battle the Black Dragon. Hey, it's finally here. Black Dragon Akunoralia. Naruto bowed his head with a look of excitement. Hailong raised his head and looked at him. Under it, the giant dragon had already fallen to the ground before, and was directly knocked to the ground by the black dragon's blow, unable to get up. It suddenly lowered its head and opened its mouth to bite the neck of the giant dragon below it. With a click, the neck of the giant dragon was torn apart by the black dragon. The dragon blood was sprayed all over the sky, and everyone was stunned. The black dragon roared in the sky, and was still drinking the flesh and blood of the dragon in his mouth. This black dragon actually killed that dragon. How is this possible? How can you say that they are all dragons? Besides, that dragon doesn't even have the ability to resist. How strong should this black dragon be? Damn, how could such a monster appear here? Who can deal with it so strong? Even Makarov was deeply shocked. 7 years ago, the black dragons were all toying with everyone, and now it is the real strength that kills the dragons in one blow. So strong. This black dragon has fallen into the dark abyss. Everyone didn't dare to go forward, and they all stayed where they were, looking at it in shock and solemnity. At this moment, several figures leapt over from the side, stood far away from the field, and stared at this side. It was Jareth, Minerva, and Angel. Oops, Jareth, the black dragon really came. It seems to be about to kill. Minerva said in surprise when he saw the power of the black dragon. Jareth frowned slightly. No one can stop the power of the black dragon, but the strength of Uzumaki Naruto is still unpredictable. Let them fight first, and I can see their specific strength. Hey, Jareth, are you trying to reap the benefits? Minerva said with a smile. The huge dragon under the black dragon had its neck torn to pieces, and immediately began to struggle in pain. The huge body was turned upside down, and all the surrounding buildings were overturned and destroyed by the billowing waves. However, its body was firmly stomped on by one of the black dragon's feet, unable to break free at all. The black dragon looked down at its struggle, indifferently. At this moment, everyone was deeply shocked and could not extricate themselves. They felt that in front of this black dragon, they were really just like ants. At this time, Naruto's momentum finally reached a peak, and suddenly it exploded with a bang. Magic. Jinchuriki column within a range of dozens of meters around his body, and the white light even illuminated the sky. Naruto's momentum is also very strong. This momentum has far surpassed the Holy Ten. Makarov murmured in amazement. Everyone, get out of the way. Suddenly Naruto shouted. I saw that the magical light on his body suddenly twisted and rotated in a strange pattern, and in a blink of an eye, it gathered between his hands. The extremely dazzling white light condensed in Naruto's palm, and even the surrounding space was shaking. Everyone raised their heads in panic, and they only felt a glare in their eyes. The magical light in Naruto's hands was like a small sun, making people unable to look directly. They were suddenly shocked and quickly retreated towards the rear. The next moment, Naruto slammed one hand, and the white ball of light in the palm of the hand suddenly flew out, just hitting the black dragon's head. The black dragon immediately raised its dragon head and roared wildly in the sky. A strong white light flickered in the bloody mouth. Roar of the black dragon. Boom. A powerful magic shock wave blasted out in an instant, colliding with Naruto's light ball. The entire space was aroused by waves of ripples, and the air waves emanating from the collision directly raised all the surrounding buildings to the ground. Within a radius of hundreds of meters, there is a ruin. Makarov and the others were able to withstand the maddening attack of this air wave, and their expressions were incomparably shocked. How powerful is this? The aftermath alone caused such destructive power. One can imagine how fierce the power of this black dragon is. And the Naruto against it is even more invincible. At this moment, everyone was amazed and inexplicable. Suddenly, Naruto's magic light ball shone with white light again, completely suppressing the magic power of the black dragon. The ball of light quickly approached the black dragon, and with a loud bang, a huge explosion occurred in the mouth of the black dragon. Hoo hoo hoo. The black dragon suddenly let out a long hiss in pain. It red-eyed and stomped its feet fiercely. The poor dragon's body was blasted directly into the ground. At the same time, the black dragon's body shot towards the ground like a cannonball. Naruto flew out. The huge dark wings spread out, and an extremely strong evil momentum spread out, and a disgusting magical breath suddenly appeared in the air. Dark wings. This power is higher than that of the dragon family, and it belongs to the power of God. Everyone was amazed. From ancient books, I have seen some records that there are actually gods in this world, and the proof of the power of gods is the wings behind, the wings of light, the wings of darkness, the wings of the wind god, the wings of the fire god. Wait, this is already a power higher than magicians and dragons, just a power that exists in legends. The black dragon has such power. I saw countless dark energy pouring out of its dark wings. The energy mixed into the huge dragon head of the black dragon, and the overwhelming and powerful momentum spread out everywhere, and everyone felt that it became difficult to breathe. And the black dragon's body, like a huge meteorite, charged towards Naruto with a powerful force on it. Naruto frowned slightly. He looked behind him. It happened to be in the direction of the palace. If he avoided it, would the black dragon directly smash it into pieces? With his eyes fixed, Naruto stood in the void, his hands slowly drawing a circle in front of him. The invisible space ripples spread out, and in front of Naruto seemed to have a calm lake surface with layers of waves stirred up by stones, and the entire space became unstable. Go in. Let you also taste the power of time and space turbulence. Naruto shook his hands suddenly, the space ripples suddenly accelerated, and the entire space in front of him cracked. Space crack. 994. Devil. Hailong had just rushed halfway, and immediately felt the crisis ahead. It suddenly stood still and stayed in place, flashing its dark wings and staring at Naruto. Human, you are the first guy that made me shy away. It's really strong. It's really surprising that that blow didn't kill you. Hailong suddenly opened his mouth and said a sentence. His voice was thick, like a mature man. Naruto was slightly surprised. I thought you were dumb. I heard that you were originally a human, but later became a dragon, right? When Hailong heard this, his aura couldn't help condensing. He didn't answer, and rushed towards where Naruto was. Forget it. Don't worry about all that, as long as you defeat you. Naruto pouted. Let you taste my strongest power. As soon as the voice fell, Naruto suddenly closed his eyes. The next moment, the entire space suddenly became strange. The magical elements in the space suddenly became strange. The buildings on the ground, the dust in the air, all of which produced a unique and mysterious change in the eyes of everyone. What happened suddenly? Everyone clearly felt this change, but they couldn't understand what happened. They only know that all this must have something to do with Naruto. Is he going to launch some powerful tricks? The next moment, Naruto suddenly opened his eyes, and he suddenly exuded an extremely mysterious aura, and everyone suddenly had the urge to kneel down and worship. This is the realm of God. Jareth, who was not far away, was suddenly shocked, and he exclaimed, I didn't expect him to reach such a realm. I have been searching for this power, but the world has always rejected me. Why, the world should accept his existence. Why is this? Jareth suddenly roared hysterically, and he flew towards Naruto recklessly. Carrying an aura of death, he drew a black trajectory in midair, and suddenly rushed towards Naruto. Where? Jareth, Minerva and Angel couldn't help exclaiming, and hurriedly rushed out. Naruto turned his eyes, and instantly saw Jareth's figure. The corner of his mouth twitched slightly, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in his heart. Great! Jareth! Black Dragon! The two powerhouses gathered in front of him. This kind of battle was exactly what he wanted. Jareth, it's actually Jareth. The people below were completely overwhelmed at this moment. They found that they couldn't get involved in the battle of these guys flying in midair, and it was better to be the same as others. Back to the palace. Not good. Naruto is in danger. At this moment, the first-generation ghost body Mebus suddenly shouted beside Makarov. What happened to the first generation? Jareth wants to unite with the Black Dragon. The two of them are going to deal with Naruto together. Damn, then we must do our best to stop them. Makarov yelled. Now there is a way. We can help Naruto share a little danger, but we must gather the magic power of all the people here. Mebus said. Makarov was slightly surprised. The brilliance of the fairy. Yes. Collect everyone's magic power and activate the brilliance of Fairy Tail, one of the 3 super magics of Fairy Tail, so that the power of the brilliance of fairies can definitely be displayed. Okay. I'll let everyone know right away. Makarov nodded hastily. Next, he explained the situation to everyone one by one. No problem, Mr. Makarov, we are honored to be able to do our little bit. Jura nodded in response. I'm fine. Kagura also nodded. The others nodded. So, everyone gathered around Makarov and sent magic power to Makarov's body. And Makarov used the radiant magic of the fairies taught him by the first generation of Mebis to condense the power of everyone into the light ball above his head. Soft white light rose from the ground, shining infinitely. Naruto looked down, but saw two other figures suddenly appearing behind everyone. Minerva. Angela. I saw that a black gas suddenly emerged from the body of the two, and the black gas lingered around the body of the two, exuding an extremely dangerous aura. Boom. The next moment, the body of the two suddenly let out a roar, and the black magic power madly dissipated, turning into two huge demons with wings on their backs. Immediately afterwards, the two demons aimed at Makarov and the others who were condensing their power and sent a black magic light. This is... Everyone was suddenly shocked, but they had no time to estimate that the magic power was gathered at a critical moment, and it could not be dispersed at all. However, in the next instant, one of the black magic lights turned and suddenly slammed into the other magic. Boom! The violent explosion sounded, and there was another explosion in the air. The earth was torn apart by this air wave, and a huge earth pit was torn apart, and the surrounding buildings suffered a devastating blow again. Damn, what are you doing, Angel? One of the demons yelled at the other. And another demon stopped in front of Makarov and the others, which was what Angel had transformed. Mineba, I won't let you hurt them. Get out of the way. Angel, do you want to betray Jarev? Don't forget that you're a demon now. You're a demon just like me. No, you're already a demon. You brought me here, to Jarev's side, but now you are going to betray. Why is this? Minerva roared sharply. Angier sighed and said helplessly, because I regret it. From the moment I saw Uzumaki Naruto again after a lapse of 7 years, I deeply regretted it. Then you'll die for me. Minerva roared, rushing towards Angela. And Jair also rushed towards the opponent, and the two hideous demons collided immediately. The powerful magic power definitely reached the level of the Holy Ten, and everything around them was smashed into ruins by their battle. I really didn't expect that the battle developed into such a chaotic situation. Is this the end of the world? In the palace, His Majesty the King and a group of magicians fell into deep panic. Mr. Naruto, I believe you will be fine. Sure. Yukino folded her hands together, looked up at Naruto standing in midair, and kept praying. 995. The Realm of God. Is the world really coming to an end? No, for Naruto, all this is just a battle, a trial, and an opportunity to show his true power. Whether it is the Black Dragon, or Jareth, or some other enemy. The current Naruto has mastered the power of the source of nature, and the entire nature is used by him. His power has been connected to the entire world, and the power is endless. The whole world is his power. This is actually the realm of the gods mentioned by the first generation of Mebis. It is also the power that Jareth has always wanted, but he has always been rejected by the origin of this world, unable to obtain this godlike power. And the Black Dragon, through the constant hunting of dragons, got the power of darkness in this world, gave birth to the wings of the body of darkness, and its power is unparalleled. However, Naruto is the master of this world. He masters as the whole of nature. No one can exist independently of this world, and no one can not be influenced by this world. In this world, no one can defeat Naruto. This is Naruto's true strength at the moment. The eclipse is still going on, the sky is dark and the earth is covered in darkness, and it all looks as if the end is really coming. However, Naruto was not worried at all. No matter how deceiving the external appearance is, what it actually contains has long been seen through by Naruto. The solar eclipse only makes the power of darkness stronger at the moment, and also strengthens the power of Jareth in the gate of the solar eclipse. And now, Naruto's strongest power is finally ready. The next moment, he raised his hand slightly and pointed at Hylang and Jareth. Swish! A space ripple followed, and they suddenly disappeared in midair. What's going on? Why are Black Dragon and Jareth missing? Did they run away? Everyone exclaimed when they saw this. Makarov, who was preparing to launch the brilliance of the goblin, suddenly felt at a loss. Feel. Mebis said solemnly. God's space. What? What God's space? Makarov asked hurriedly. In the legend, only the personal space owned by gods is a space parallel to this world. Because gods' battles can destroy the world at every turn, so their battles all take place in their own personal space, which would cause unnecessary loss of life. It depends on the situation. Naruto packed Jareth and the Black Dragon into his own space. It seems that our attack is superfluous. Is he really a god? Makarov looked incredulous. Mebus frowned slightly. In fact, these information were only things she had found from the classics, and no one could say for certain. At this time, Naruto looked down at Makarov and his group, and his figure flashed and appeared beside them. Naruto, where did you take Jareth and Black Dragon? Urza asked quickly. Naruto smiled lightly. They have been locked in my space now, and they can't get out for the time being, but I have to go in and get rid of them all, otherwise my unstable space will soon be destroyed. They break through. Fairy's brilliance, this magic cannot be underestimated. Leave your power to me first. He stretched out his hand and took the magic ball that glowed with bright white light from Makarov's hand, which contained everyone's magic and everyone's will. Then please, Mr. Naruto. Jura bowed his head and thanked him. Naruto nodded, looked at the two demons who were fighting on the side, with a complex look on his face. Okay, I will deal with those two guys first, and the two demons here will be handed over to you. But make sure to capture them alive. Okay, everyone agreed. After seeing Naruto's wave of the world shaking and the power of the situation changing, everyone has regarded him as the backbone, and he is the only one who obeys. The next moment, Naruto disappeared in front of everyone with the brilliance of a fairy. Everyone came back to their senses and looked at the two demons. Naruto, Makarov and the others were watching from the moment Minerva and Angel appeared and transformed to the present. After listening to Naruto's words that the two of them were going to be turned into demons, although everyone was suspicious, they would definitely execute it. So, seeing that the two demons were fighting frantically, Makarov and his party gathered their remaining strength again and began to make some arrangements. On Ulu's side, the three of them were chasing the figure of the future Rog, and the direction of the future Rog's escape has now turned to go outside the capital, and he has been frightened. Not to mention the powerful strength of these three women, after seeing Naruto's ability to destroy Jareth and Hylang in the distance, he could no longer think of any plans. In the face of absolute power, all conspiracies pale as paper. Inside the palace, the king and many magicians also learned about what happened on Naruto's battlefield through magic. When they learned that Naruto was going to enter his personal space to kill Jareth and Black Dragon, they felt incredible. With the power of one person, he fought against the legendary black magician Jareth, who created the magical world and pioneered the magical era, and the Dragon King Aknaoria, who combined all the darkness and destruction. Think. But now, Naruto has to do it alone. This is simply what God can do. After a while, the eclipse in the sky gradually passed, and the sky regained a little light. There is still a lingering shadow on everyone's face. Because Naruto has not yet appeared, no one knows how the battle in that space will end, and they can only wait anxiously outside for the result. That is the battle that truly dominates the destiny of the entire country and the world. Once lost, the country and the people will be doomed. If you win, everything will be fine. At this time, everyone couldn't help praying for Naruto, praying that he could defeat all evil and bring peace to the world. Sudden. There was a violent vibration in the space above the entire capital city. The invisible space ripples spread out all around, and the buildings below were immediately destroyed by this vibration stronger than infrasound waves, almost killing everyone. After a long time, a huge space black hole suddenly appeared in the sky. 996. Different Theosophy. The black void seemed to devour everything, which was daunting. However, in the next instant, a black shadow slammed down from it. Boom! The black shadow slammed into the ground, and the earth shook. Then, the black hole slowly disappeared. Naruto's figure appeared in the sky. Naruto has appeared. How's the battle? Did he win? He seems to be holding a man in his hand. Is that Jareth? Who is the shadow that flew out just now? Could it be the Black Dragon? So, did Naruto beat them alone? Too, great. Everyone cheered in surprise, and several guild leaders also showed ecstasy on their faces. High in the sky, Naruto was holding Jareth's neck in his hands. Jareth, you failed, he said lightly. At this moment, the clothes on his body were also a little torn, but Jareth, who was strangled by his throat, was already covered in bruises. Yes, I lost. There is finally someone who can defeat me. Jareth's expression was calm. He was still very calm, as if he had put his life and death aside. Naruto looked at him and said, actually, I didn't want to kill you, but you want to pursue the so-called realm of God, and you want to forcefully obtain the power of the world's source, and the result you can't get is to destroy the world. I won't let you do this. Dangerous people stay in this world. Jareth smiled bitterly. Are you providing protection for this world? Yes, you are already the god of this world, but have you ever thought about how to stop the struggle in this world? I didn't think so. Live it. You get the power of God, but you are selfish only for your own use. Sooner or later, you will fall too. Naruto didn't change his expression when he heard the words, and said lightly, after you become a god, you want to control the whole world with one person's power, so that people in the world don't have to fight. I can't refute, maybe this world really has that kind of idea. There may be peace, but I think that world is no longer a world, but your personal private space. Jareth was stunned for a moment, then he closed his eyes, shook his head slowly and said, you and I have completely different ideas, kill me. Only you are the god in this world. Naruto squeezed his hands, looked at Jareth, and sighed slightly. This world is not so simple and peaceful, and maybe I am not mature for this idea, but, even if it is as you said, I have become God, then I will never want to control this world. This world belongs to itself. I am just lucky enough to borrow its power. In front of the whole world, no matter how powerful my power is, in the end, only it's just a tiny drop. Jareth opened his eyes and looked at Naruto quietly, with thought in his eyes. His body began to slowly turn into fly ash, disappearing inch by inch into the air. After he disappeared, Naruto breathed a long sigh of relief, and murmured, I hope you can understand this truth after you are reincarnated, God, you must also be integrated into the root of the world. The figure flashed, Naruto disappeared, and when he appeared again, he was already beside Makarov and the others. Naruto, how is it? Everyone quickly gathered around and asked him. Naruto looked at everyone with a smile on his face. The solar eclipse in the sky had passed, and the golden sunset shone on his face, reflecting a divine aura, making him stand tall and erect like a god. It's over. He spat out these words slowly. Win? Did you win? Urza asked expectantly. Yeah. Naruto nodded, looked up at the golden sunset in the sky, and laughed. Go back and have a good sleep, tomorrow morning will be another beautiful morning. Whoa. Hearing his words, Makarov and the others immediately cheered in unison. Let's go see the Black Dragon, it's full of treasures. Naruto's mouth suddenly showed a smile, he pointed to the place where the black shadow fell just now, and said to everyone. Black Dragon. Go and see and you'll know. Naruto nodded, looking at the two demons lying on the ground beside him. Before Naruto came out just now, the battle between Angel and the demon incarnated by Minerva had ended. They were both wounded and lay on the ground unable to move. Makarov and others went to find the Black Dragon and left the matter here to Naruto. Naruto came to the side of two hideous-looking demons, surrounded by ruins, collapsed buildings, mud pits bombarded by magic power, and flames and gunpowder smoke in some places, and these two demons were tall and tall. Chi-Chi fell into the ruins. He looked at them dying and sighed slightly. Angier, what's the point of this? In order to regain strength, do you not hesitate to incarnate into such an ugly demon? Walking to one of the demons, Naruto stretched out his hand and stroked its eyebrows. And Jair looked at Naruto, closed her eyes and didn't look at him, and said slowly, "Kill me, Uzumaki Naruto." A complex color flashed in Naruto's eyes, and a green light suddenly appeared in his palm, slowly infiltrating from the center of the demon's eyebrows. The demon's body shook violently, and then, everything on it evaporated and dissipated at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a while, it was reminded that the huge and ferocious demon had disappeared, and a naked body appeared in Naruto's arms, white and tender. It was the original Angier. Naruto took off his imperial robe, wrapped her body full of spring light, hugged her in his arms and said, "I have killed the demon created by Jareth in your body, and the seal I gave you has also been given to you. You lifted, and now you have regained your freedom and magic." Why didn't you kill me?" Angela opened her eyes faintly. Her eyes were full of surprise, disbelief, moving, joy, all complicated emotions. Naruto smiled slightly. "Because you stopped Minerva's attack just now and saved everyone, just because you turned around this time, I have a reason not to kill you." "You?" Angier looked at him, tears finally overflowing from her eyes, and drops fell from her beautiful face. 997. Promised Marriage. In the capital, among the ruins of a building, a large pit with a diameter of over 1,000 meters appeared there. Makarov and others rushed here. They saw a black mass in the center of the 100-meter deep pit. When I got closer, everyone was stunned. "That mass of black objects is not a black dragon, what is it?" I saw that its entire body was lying there in an extremely twisted posture. The pair of dark wings on its back had already been broken, and it was gradually disappearing at this time, and its body and entire head seemed to be covered by a giant. As if it had been knocked with force, it stuck together in a shattered state, and the mouth was full of blood spurting out. Its body and limbs had long been torn off, and the exposed keel had flesh and blood, which was extremely hideous. Jura used earth magic to support the black dragon's body, and everyone saw an astonishing scene again. Its abdomen seemed to be cut open by a big sword, and the broken internal organs inside were extremely clear. This tragic situation. Everyone couldn't imagine what a tragic battle the Black Dragon had gone through. With the tyrannical body of the Dragon clan, it turned out to be the fate of being dismembered and dismembered. Naruto, how strong is it? At this moment, everyone couldn't help but wonder, what method did Naruto use to fight in his personal space? In fact, Naruto's battle is very simple. After entering his space domain with Black Dragon and Jareth, he directly used space technique to deal with them. No matter how powerful Black Dragon and Jareth are, they will never be able to resist the power of space. However, the Black Dragon's body is worthy of the dragon's body. Under the attack of Naruto's countless space-sharp blades, space cracks, and space black holes, it took a long time to be defeated. In the end, Naruto used the power of space to tear it apart. The body was completely shattered, and it was thrown out of the space. At this time, the Black Dragon had long since lost its breath. And Jareth, his death magic, can't compete with Naruto's life force at all. In the space domain, Naruto takes the initiative and can't get out. He is passive, and his strength is restraint. It won't take long for Naruto to restrain and kill. Dragon blood, dragon bone, dragon scale, dragon heart, dragon gall, all of these are treasures. After everyone was shocked, they finally reacted. They rushed over and began to harvest the treasures in the whole body of the Black Dragon. On Naruto's side, he hugged Angela's delicate body and came to the demon incarnated by Minerva. Save the little girl. Naruto-sama. Seeing Angel's return to her original state, Minerva wanted to be able to return to her human form just like her. However, Naruto just sneered. You have fallen into darkness, and there is no room for repentance. If you have a chance, you should go to hell and be a human again. No, since you saved Angier, why didn't you save the little girl? The little girl can do anything for you. The little girl can give you anything. Just please don't kill me. Minerva suddenly apologized loudly. The scene of Naruto destroying Jareth was deeply engraved in her mind. This powerful absolute strength has completely made her lose any resistance to resist. If she had known that Naruto was so strong, she would not want to do evil if she was killed. She would rather change from a witch to a nun. Tenten prayed for Naruto and would never be his enemy. However, there is no regret medicine in the world. Because Naruto saw with his own eyes that Minerva was going to attack Makarov and the others who were gathering strength at that time, but Angela woke up. Angela, forgivable, and stopped Minerva, good work. Although her body turned into a demon, she still had a human conscience in her heart, but Minerva was different. Her body turned into a demon, and her heart also turned into a demon. No, it should be said that her heart was already a demon. Goodbye. Go and accompany Jareth to fulfill his dream after going to hell. Naruto said lightly. Then, a strong wave of magical power appeared in his hand, shrouding Minerva's hideous demon appearance. The screams are too late to send out. Miss Minerva, die. It's over, let's go. Naruto looked at Angie in his arms, the figure flickered and disappeared again. In the palace, the king and others who saw everything through magic have sent troops to deal with the aftermath. Princess Emerald fell to her knees, tears of joy on her face. It's really good. Naruto won. The black dragon is dead. Jareth is dead. The country is finally saved. Yeah, princess, I didn't expect such a development in this world. Future Lucy was also full of emotion. I knew that Mr. Naruto would definitely be able to do it. Shui Nai's eyes were full of brilliance, and her face was full of infinite longing for Naruto. Are you all alright? At this moment, Naruto teleported in front of Princess Jade and the others, looking at everyone and asked. Mr. Naruto. Yukino rushed to his side. Princess Jade was still kneeling on the ground. She looked up at Naruto in front of her, with wet tears on her face. Naruto. Naruto stretched out his hand to him, with a bright smile on his face. Princess, I said earlier that there is no need to worry, see. With me, the world will not be destroyed. Princess Emerald stared blankly at his smiling face. At this moment, her heart was filled with mixed feelings, and she was unable to utter 1,000 words. In the end, she just gently stretched out her hand and put it into Naruto's big hand. Naruto pulled her gently, stood up, hugged her, and said to the king with a smile, Fairy Tail has won the great demon fighting and martial arts. As the organizer, what kind of reward should be given to us? The king was stunned for a moment, facing Naruto's open and calm smile at this time. He was a little restrained as a king, and after reacting, he grabbed his face and said, Mr. Naruto, you are the hero of this country. No matter what kind of reward is right, it's useless for you. Why don't I give you my daughter as a betrothed? What? The surrounding magicians and ministers immediately opened their mouths and froze there. Ah, this. Naruto looked down at the embarrassed and delighted Emerald Princess with Yuhi's face in his arms, and couldn't help but say, Your Majesty, are you kidding me? Ahaha, since this decision of mine has caused trouble to Mr. Naruto, let's pretend he didn't say it, haha. His Majesty the King hurriedly smiled awkwardly. 998. Victory Celebration. At this moment, Naruto suddenly felt that his waist was twisted fiercely by a small hand. Although the pain couldn't cause him any harm at all, he couldn't help but let out a cry. Princess Emerald, what are you doing? Everyone turned to look at Princess Emerald, who was being hugged by Naruto. Seeing that her face was full of Yuhi and her little hands were still pinched around Naruto's waist, they couldn't help but let out a kind laughter because they didn't understand what she meant. This is the first time since the beginning of the solar eclipse that everyone laughed so cheerfully. But, damn it, I'm going back. Princess Emerald was immediately embarrassed. She couldn't stand the teasing of her father and many magicians. She broke away from Naruto's embrace and hurried out. Naruto couldn't help laughing. Of course she could see what Princess Jade meant. And Jair leaned against his arms and couldn't help but cover her mouth and smile softly. She suddenly found that she was so happy when she was by Naruto's side. She had this feeling 7 years ago, living, chatting, shopping, doing ordinary things like a girl. This turned out to be so happy. However, after Naruto left, she suddenly felt abandoned and the world was bleak. Now that Naruto is back, she finds that her world has light, she finds that she still wants to play seduction games with him, and she finds that she can't live without him. She is in love with him. It's amazing, being by his side and feeling everything around him. This seemingly cruel world seems to have become very beautiful, and people can't help but want to dance. He, Uzumaki Naruto, is such an amazing person. Boom. Just when everyone was happy, a muffled sound came from the gate of the palace. Everyone couldn't help but be slightly surprised, and hurried out to take a look. But I saw a figure lying on the ground in an embarrassed manner. At the gate of the palace, stood 3 beautiful women. Naruto, we solved this guy for you. He's still quite powerful. It took us a lot of effort. It was the Ulu 3. Who are you? The magicians looked vigilant. Naruto waved his hand, and the magicians behind him fell silent. He stepped forward with a smile on his face. Thank you for your hard work. It's not hard work. As long as we can help you, we are very happy. Melty giggled. Hearing their conversation, the king and others realized that they were Naruto's friends. My mother is still injured, Urusha said suddenly. Huh. Naruto was slightly startled. The next moment he hurriedly appeared in front of Ulu and asked with concern, what's wrong? Where is the injury? Ulu's face turned Yuhi slightly, seeing how nervous he was. Her heart suddenly became extremely sweet. She, who has always been gentle and generous, couldn't help but turn away shyly. Really, don't listen to this girl's nonsense, it's just a bit of a broken skin. Ulu glared at Urusha angrily. Urusha ignored her mother's resentment and turned to teasing. Mom, I'm trying to test Naruto's heart for you. Now that he looks so nervous, I can rest assured to hand you over to him. Sigh. Whoa. In an instant, everyone who heard their conversation, including His Majesty the King, exclaimed in exclamation, and there was an uproar. Mom, Mom, Mom. Lord Naruto actually likes the mother of a woman in her 20s. What hobby is this? Suddenly, everyone looked at him differently. Noticing the reaction of the people behind him, Naruto was also embarrassed for a while, and changed the subject with a serious look. Okay, let's take a look at this guy now. He kicked the future Rog under his feet, who gave Kiba a grin. Everyone just focused on the business. Uzumaki Naruto, you were ruthless. In the future, Rog just spit out these words, and Naruto stepped on his head with a snap. Boy, Naruto leaned down, looked at him, and said in a disdainful tone, have done so many things, deceived Princess Emerald, and still want to make trouble in the Eclipse plan. What are you trying to do? I've already lost, it's all meaningless. If you want to kill, just kill. Rog in the future would simply bite Kiba and snorted coldly. Okay, I wanted to know what you guys want to do. Since you want to die so much, then let's do it for you. Naruto pouted. Presumably he wouldn't be a good bird. Cheating Jade set up a solar eclipse plan, but finally provoked the dragon out. No matter how you look at it, there is a conspiracy hidden. Wait. At this moment, the king suddenly shouted, Mr. Naruto, can you hand this person over to our kingdom? Oh, does His Majesty still want to interrogate him? Naruto was slightly surprised. Yes, this guy is from the future. I think a lot of things can be asked from him. His Majesty the King nodded. Okay, then leave it to the kingdom. Naruto's 5 fingers burst out with 5 different colors of fire, and then he suddenly possessed himself and pressed it on the back of the future Rog. 5 elements seal. What? With a scream, future Rog suddenly fainted. Okay, the magic power of this guy has been sealed by me, and it shouldn't run away again. Naruto smiled. Thank you very much, Mr. Naruto. His Majesty the King bowed to him. It's just a hands-on effort. Naruto waved his hand. If that's the case, then let's say goodbye first. Wait, Mr. Naruto, after this catastrophe has passed, the kingdom must hold a grand celebration ceremony. When the post-war matters are dealt with, the ceremony will begin. You must come to attend then. His Majesty the King, he suddenly said, and sent a sincere invitation to him. Naruto nodded. Definitely. Then, he turned and left with Angel and Ulu, leaving only a back. Everyone was in awe. A man like God. Yeah, not to mention the strength, there are so many beautiful women around. It's really enviable. Hey, don't you see that he is already a god? Who can defeat Jareth and Hylong if it is not the word of God? That's right. No wonder Mr. Juro was able to surrender directly in the game. I must approach Naruto-sama during the celebration. I want to marry him. I want it too. I want it too. The female magicians screamed loudly. 999. I want you. And Naruto went back to the hotel where he lived before the competition, and then put on Angie's clothes. He also washed his body and changed into clean clothes. By this time, it was past 7 o'clock in the evening. The capital city is in ruins. All the magicians have been arranged by the kingdom to live in, waiting for the start of the national celebration. This period of time was so peaceful. Although there were ruins around, everyone believed that in less than a day, all the destroyed buildings would be restored by magic. Naruto lay on the sofa and closed his eyes, thinking about the previous battle with Jareth. The so-called Realm of God. After this battle, Naruto vaguely understood one thing, that is, the Master has acquired the source power of the entire world, integrated with this world, and became an existence beyond anyone in this world. This is the Realm of God. In other words, his current power, strictly speaking, has become the God of this world. So what should I do next? Is it time to go to another world? He was thinking so. Suddenly, a faint voice sounded. Naruto. He opened his eyes, and what he saw was a fair-skinned and beautiful Angier. Her delicate face was the same as 7 years ago, and her body was more sexy and mature than 7 years ago. At this moment, she had just washed off all the dirt, her fair skin exuded an attractive luster, and she was wearing only a white bathrobe. Angier. Naruto glanced at her and was immediately attracted by her appearance. Beauty out of the bath is always so tempting. Angela slowly came to Naruto's side and sat down quietly. At this time, Ulu and the others were very interested because of the Black Dragon's side. They did not return here, but went there to check the situation. Therefore, in the dormitory of this hotel, only Naruto and Angier are present. I haven't seen you for 7 years. Angela suddenly said, I thought you were dead, and the feeling of sitting together quietly like this now, I thought I would never experience it again. As she spoke, she stretched out her small hand and quietly hugged Naruto's arm, the delicate body with a bath towel clinging to him. Naruto can feel that his arm has been sunk into a mass of soft and infinitely smooth stuff. It is her impressive jade. Milk. Through a layer of bath towel, he could even feel the delicate warmth of her skin, which made people feel the urge to reach out and knead hard. Before he entered the space battle with the Black Dragon and Jareth, he had already paid attention to the battle between Angel and Minerva, and heard what she said. He knew that this angel, one of the 6 demons Angela, it was because of herself that she turned on her side. How could he not understand her intentions? Because of this, he would rescue her, make the demon in her disappear, and unlock the seal that he had set up to trouble her for 7 years. Sorry, Angel. Thinking of this, Naruto suddenly apologized to her. Although Angela is one of the 6 demons, she actually yearns for beauty in her nature, flying happily in the sky like an angel. Everyone has their own dreams. From this point of view, Angela's dream is not bad, but the way she wants to achieve it is a bit extreme and is used by others. And Jair was taken aback. She didn't expect Naruto to apologize to herself. It just made her unbelievable. Why do you have to apologize? I don't care about the past anymore. Angier showed a satisfied smile on her face. I am very happy to be like this now. This time you stopped Miniba's attack and made a great contribution. Even if everyone knows your previous identity, I think I will forgive you. No matter how bad it is, I can intercede for you. In this way, you can truly be free. Naruto said with a slight smile. Thank you, Naruto, it is my blessing to meet you. You changed me. During the past 7 years, I have often wondered, what exactly do I want? Is it to become an angel? And Jie held Naruto's back tightly again, looked up at his blue eyes, and said quietly, I think I want to meet you. Naruto looked startled. Immediately afterwards, a piece of soft lips suddenly approached, with a fragrant breath, gently sticking to his lips. Naruto opened his eyes wide, looking at Angie who was leaning on his chest and kissing him at this moment. Her blue-white hair still had the soft breath when she just came out of the bath, her water-like eyes were affectionate. Looking at himself, the tenderness in it seems to melt himself completely. For a long time, the lips are divided. Angel Yu's face was slightly Yuhi, and she in Naruto's mouth Kukuzu quietly pulled out a sparkling silk thread. Stretching out her fragrant tongue and licking her soft lips lightly, and Jair suddenly straddled Naruto's lap, and the expression on her face became infinitely charming. Naruto, I want to be with you forever. Her jade arms suddenly wrapped around Naruto's neck, her soft lips came together again, and she squeezed her delicate body into his arms. At the same time, the towel on her body had slipped off quietly, and her entire tender white and silky body was naked and exposed in his arms. Naruto looked stunned, never thought that Jair would become so hot. But at this time, Jiaozu was begging for himself in his arms, how could he bear it? Reaching out his hand, Naruto unconsciously embraced her tender body. At this time, bang bang bang. There was a knock on the door. The two were shocked at the same time. Angie hurriedly left Naruto's lips, and her body quickly got off his body. Her naked body was wrapped in a bath towel again. Her tender Yuhi's jade face, she glared in the direction of the door, sighed, and then went to open the door. Naruto suddenly realized that the wet patch on his leg was something that came out when Jair was riding on his leg just now. He swallowed, and suddenly felt dry. The door opened. Not surprisingly, it turned out that Ulu and the others came back. This is Naruto's room. Originally, Ulu and the others rented a hotel in the city, but because the previous battle was destroyed, they had to temporarily live in Naruto's place. Huh, it's really scary. Naruto, what the hell did you do? Such a powerful black dragon's body was actually torn apart. 1000. Unbearable impulse. The three Ulu entered the house, their mouths full of exclamations. Naruto and Angier were still in the atmosphere just now, slightly embarrassed for a while. Huh, Angel, why is your face so Yuhi? Urusha asked suddenly. When Angier was asked, she panicked, but she immediately calmed down and said lightly, I just finished taking a shower. Oh, that's right. We're going to live here tonight too. But the room feels a little too big. Urusha suddenly said in distress. Would you like to spend the night with Urza and the others? Naruto suggested. Well, then forget it. I don't know them very well. Melty shook her head. Then we have to squeeze. Naruto spread his hands. Next, the three of Ulu took a shower one after another. After the three of them were washed, they all came out wearing only nightgowns and dangling in front of Naruto. Ulu is mature and sexy, her body exudes the unique charm of a mature woman, while Ulusha is more enchanting, with a witch-like charm, but also a kind of noble and elegant temperament after returning to justice. Melty was a little shy, and seemed not used to wearing pajamas in a vacuum in front of the opposite sex, sitting next to Urusha all the time, like a child who was distressing. It's just that each has its own characteristics, and 100 flowers bloom. Naruto was distracted for a while, and there was an urge that was gradually uncontrollable. Ah, by the way, Naruto, tell me about the battle between you and Jareth and the Black Dragon. After dinner, the four of them sat on the sofa beside Naruto, looking at him with interest, eyes full of curiosity. Ulu and Urusha were seated on both sides of Naruto. Melty was sitting on the ground with her chest on Urusha's thigh, her hands propped up her face and looked at him. Angel was standing on Naruto's side. Behind him, leaning on the back of the sofa, his heavy chest was leaning against Naruto's head. Naruto, who was surrounded by four women, still had the desire to tell a story. The scent of the four charming women almost made him unable to control it, and the ashes rose in his heart. However, in the face of their curiosity, Naruto had no choice but to talk to them about the process for a while. The personal space he opened up at that time was a space that existed relying on this world. It was equivalent to using the power of the origin of this world to create a new world space again. In this space, Naruto is really like a god. Powerful, omnipotent, even capable of creating life. However, the things created in this space cannot be left, so even if Naruto created everything here and became a godlike master, he felt that it was meaningless. Therefore, this space is more used for fighting. Pull the enemy into this space and directly take advantage of the laws that can control this space to deal with the enemy. Giraffe, Black Dragon, both are super powerful and omnipotent. If Naruto wants to defeat them in the outside world, it is absolutely impossible to complete without an earth-shattering battle, and if you do that, let alone the entire capital. Now, even the entire country, the entire continent, will suffer a crisis. So, he beat them in the space he created, which is the best way. However, the dark power of the Black Dragon has brought the power of God, that is, the dark law that controls the world, while Giraffe has black magic and dominates death. The power of both is the existence of destruction level. It's not easy to fight. However, in the end, the two were unable to defeat Naruto's original power of controlling the rules of the entire world, and lost to him. After speaking, Naruto looked at the girls. They all looked like they were admiring, and their faces were full of excitement. God! Naruto, you have become a god! Urusha exclaimed excitedly. When I was studying magic, I stumbled across an ancient book that recorded the history of gods. It said that before the birth of the magician, the world already had the existence of gods. It is said that it is an existence that is older than the dragon family. There used to be gods with major magic elements on the continent, and they controlled the world. The law of elements has more power than the dragon clan. However, it seems that he left human beings for whatever reason, and this continent has become the ruler of the dragon clan. Hee, so everyone is a race abandoned by God. Naruto couldn't help but smile. Maybe, but after hearing what you said now, Naruto, I have basically determined that you are the new god of this world. And you are also the god who has mastered the rules of the entire world. Urusha exclaimed excitedly. Naruto doesn't care about this. Of course he knows how much power he has now. Compared with the previous time in the zombie world, it is still a little distance away, and he has not reached the peak at all. The so-called god is just a title that has reached a certain level of power. Nor will he rest on his laurels, because he has more important things to pursue. Okay, but I think it's time to go to bed now. You can relax tomorrow. After tonight, the kingdom should use magic to restore the capital. Then you can take a good look around the capital. Naruto he waved his hand and smiled. We're going to play together tomorrow. Melty nodded happily. Next, the four of them are ready to rest. Ulu made a bed for the two daughters in the room, and another for Angel, while Naruto slept on the bed. It's not that he is not a gentleman, but that there are four women at this time. No matter which one he lets out to sleep with, it will be more troublesome. Turning off the lights, Naruto lay on the bed but couldn't sleep. The breathing of the four women in the room is clear and in the ear, as if the lover is moaning unintentionally in the ear. Where can I sleep peacefully? It's all because Angela tempted her just now. Naruto thought to himself. At this moment, Ulu suddenly got up quietly, came to Naruto's bed, and quietly got into his bed. Naruto, can't you sleep? She gently hugged Naruto's waist and asked softly. Yeah, Naruto felt the fiery temperature from Yulujao's body, which was hugging him, and his heart couldn't help but heat up, and he rolled over and pressed her body. Naruto, it seems that you are already very uncomfortable. Ulu stretched out his hand to hold Naruto's rigid object and laughed softly. There are so many beautiful women around, no wonder it is like this.